Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome to Trainers Warehouse Show and Share. I'm Sue Landay, and I'm happy to see some familiar faces and some new ones, and some who aren't showing your faces, but we're still so happy to have you on the call. So thanks. We started off we're talking today, I should say, about getting people to gather and come back after breaks. And so I just posted a question in the group chat saying, how long do you typically wait, if at all, before starting? And maybe it's different for in-person versus face-to-face. So Debbie said, do you want to say it again, Debbie, or shall I go? Shall I speak for you?
Well, usually if it's in person, I usually start within a minute of what I said. So if it's supposed to start at 8, I might give them till 8:01, but I tell people we're about to start. Have your sit down. We're gonna start, and then I start because I don't. If I always start like 10 minutes after the start time, people will just get there 10 minutes after the start time.
Yeah.
So
So, but what if you know there are 10 people there? And because I'm seeing other people say, I start on time, I start on time. What if what if you are supposed to have like 10 people and only 3 people are there? Do you still just go for it?
Well, if a situation like that happens, something happened.
Yeah.
I normally don't have where if let's say I had 10 and only, 20% is showing up. Normally something like that, now I'm really starting to worry and I'm starting to send text messages to make sure no one had an accident, nothing's going on with the freeway. But for me overall, definitely I start on time if it's virtual or in person because I have to set the precedence for my engineers, right? And I'm teaching them a certain behavior. On time is late, and early is on time. So you
amen to
start.
that.
Okay. Early and on time.
Yes.
Okay. So I love that. When you first are starting your session, uh, what do you tell people to set those expectations? And do you have any kind of tips or tricks, then so that they know that that's the expectation?
Yes, I call it rules of engagement, right? And that's if it's a virtual world or if it's in person. And I'll put the slide up. The first day is a gimme, but there's consequences for not being on time. For example, with my engineers, if you're late, and let's say I'm doing it in person, I have 6 tables and it's 5 people at each table. Well, I call it American Idol theme. So if you are late, you have to get up, not just you for being late, but now your whole group has to suffer and you have to get up and you have to do a song and dance. And
The American,
first
what did you
day,
call it? The American Idol, what?
yes, it's American Idol theme. So pretty much, once again, the first day is a gimme if you're late, but after that, if anyone is late, the group will do a song and dance. And I'm gonna tell you, every workshop I put together, I never have it perfect. There's always someone or a group that's doing a song and dance.
I hope it's not your shyest person.
Well,
Yeah, we really struggle with getting people there on time. So when we have an all staff, people come from across the state. So we have big city people and we have country people. And it is, really interesting to watch, kind of the different attitudes about time. The city people are like, sit down, let's go, come on. I have places to go and people to see, let's do it. And, the folks that come from more rural areas, it's like, you know what, I haven't had my coffee. I think I better go get some. And it's just a very different pace. And so trying to find that easier coming together, and it's not just that, we have such a different, it's almost kind of like one side of the state versus the other side of the state. And so even getting them to mix and mingle, we have to make that happen. We can't.
So how do you go about doing that? Have you found ways that have worked for you, or we have, I'm sure we'll share some more ways.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what have you
so well, it to mix and mingle, we have like picking colors out of a box. And so the pink people sit with the pink people and the blue people sit with the blue people, and it's random. So you're not going to sit by your buddy. Or you might. It's random. And then after we have that first, really uncomfortable morning session, where people are just kind of doing their own thing, it's those expectations are, look, we have a lot of stuff we have to get through. We need to have you back here at, and then we set timers. I love your chimes. I love those, because even when you're having a discussion time, it's such an easier way to stop discussion than, okay, everybody,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to show some chimes, which I'm gonna do, but I also would love, before we do that, Nora, you were speaking about group agreements, which Brian also kind of picked up on that. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how you go about establish, how you facilitate that?
Thank you. I have a slide that says Nora requests the following group agreements. I like that engagement word, but I don't like rules of engagement. I like agreements of engagement. So one of mine is relax. I'm not going to pick on anyone. No one has to do anything. Engage to the level that you choose to. Ask questions, speak up, share your expertise. And then I ask them to turn to somebody near them, look them directly in the eye or into the camera if they're on Zoom, and say, I agree to be agreeable. And then I make some joke about, if the person next to you isn't going to be agreeable, well, you already do that about them anyway. And so it sort of gets a laugh going, but also, well, people get it, they need to be agreeable. And then I invite them to tell me, what else do you need that'll make you feel comfortable learning here today with these folks? And so then sometimes people add in a few things. I never make them promise confidentiality. I say you can't not trust anybody, that they're going to keep their mouth shut when they walk around the office. So I don't promise confidentiality unless it's an actual group facilitation, ongoing group. So that's how I do it. And I love your chimes. I love the chimes. I love it because I don't want to shout at people, but I train them early on, sort of like Pavlov's dog, that ding, 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 ding means wrap up your conversation. And then I do a second round of bells, which means they should have stopped by then and sit down. Sometimes I walk closer in the room and bam, 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 if they don't stop talking. And then they go, oh, we were supposed to stop talking. So they usually come on back. And
I like the idea of like having those two rounds and setting that expectation that there's sort of like the warning and then
wrap it up.
Okay, we're done. And then
I ding and I go like this, and then I say really loud, thank your partner for sharing with you, because I have a big deal about an attitude of gratitude. So I ask them to say out loud that they're thankful to the person. I just think that's a good practice to get people into supporting each other in that way. So that's
absolutely.
my 2 cents worth.
And Brian, I have a question actually about that, the American Idol theme. And if you have, because I've always been a little bit wary and fearful of putting people on the spot, embarrassing, having, and Jade was getting to this a little bit, I think also, like, is there a grace period, or how do you help people save face and things like that? I don't know, I just sort of worry about that.
Well, that's why I don't do it as that one individual. The main reason I'm holding the group accountable, that way, if you do have someone that is shy, the group kind of work together as a team to protect that person.
Oh, so I didn't get that. You're not having that one person.
Mm-mm. Oh, no.
Oh, so
no.
how does it work? Because I misunderstood that.
Every group is responsible, because like you said, yeah, let's say I have 6 tables, right? 5 people each table. Every group is responsible for their own team. So when you succeed as a team, you do well as a team. When you fail as a team, you fail together. So also, it just brings that camaraderie together for each of them. And once again, if one person is late, then the whole entire group has to get up.
Got it. Oh, I really appreciate that clarification.
No worries.
Okay. So the chimes. I have them here displayed behind me. I'm showing you 3 today. So the first one, this is the meeting chime. And another product, while I'm kind of on the show and tell, is this, it's called Time Timer. It's a clock that you can basically say, okay, we've got 15 minutes. And then as time elapses, this runs down. And so people can kind of see visually how much time has elapsed. And this is good either for breaks or, if you're having a brainstorming session or anything else, and people can kind of see this visual. That seems to work really well for people also.
Can you monkey with it? If it's partway there, can you, I go by the tone, the rise in tone in the room of the conversation. So if it's, if I feel like they're through, can I just?
Mhm.
See?
Yeah,
Okay,
you would just turn the knob.
okay, okay.
But that's an interesting point in and of itself, right? Is how as trainers, we kind of take the liberty to play with time a lot. And if something is going really well, to say, this is really fruitful, let's extend this. But then there's another piece of me that's saying, that's thinking about like that idea of transparency and being clear with people that, hey, we've gone over, it's part of like that mutual agreement, right? And trusting one another. Is everybody okay? This is a great conversation. Can we keep going with it? Does anybody need to break away right now? But just kind of having conversations like that, I think, can be really fruitful. Other ways that folks either set expectations or kind of have fun getting people back. Sharon, tell us about, it's hard for me to read that. Do you mind sharing?
I was just saying that I don't normally use the chimes unless it's a really small group, because it doesn't seem to travel even when I put the microphone close to them. In a group, I mean, when I'm presenting for 50, 100, 200, whatever or more, it's not, even I'm not talking about an auditorium, but I'm talking about a large ballroom. They don't seem to work. So what is the choice of having something that's louder?
Yeah, unless you're walking around like at a big conference or something. I've seen folks do that, or like at like they do at a theater. You see, I don't know.
Can you blink the lights? Sometimes that works. Like you said in the theater, if you've got a big room, if you flash the lights, people will pay attention. And then as you flash them, then maybe if you do the chimes, people have stopped and then they'll hear it. I don't usually talk to that large of a group, but.
Well, Jane and Allison, you may also have, working with teachers of young people, they do early childhood education. So you guys might have like, because I was looking at Allison, you clap, right? And then have other people, have the group do that same pattern. And you could probably even make a game of that.
Yes.
Yeah. Did I capture the idea?
Yes, that's what we do.
Yeah. So
when I'm in a ballroom, sometimes what I do, if I can't get enough people, I say, turn around and ask the people behind you, clap for the people behind you. They turn around and clap the people behind them. So we started rotation through the room, and then the people in the back of the house catch on.
Awesome. Love it. So we talked a little bit about there being ramifications if people are late, but have any of you more created enticements to make it kind of fun to get back on time? Like either with Allison, you're nodding, so I'm going to let you speak.
Of course, you could do it several different ways. There's so many ideas out there, but we to come back one time, and I think it just, like you say, depends on the group, depends on the conversation. But if it's a group and if you're in a limited time, whatever, we normally will do like a door prize or a little something. When you get back on time, you may get a dot or something at the end, however many dots you have. There's so many different ways you can do it, of course, but I'm sure other people have better ideas.
Awesome. Well, some of the things that we've seen people do are like they'll create their own little scratch tickets. So you can write your own prizes on them and then put a label over it that people can scratch off because everybody loves scratching. So we've seen that. We've seen raffle tickets, just like tear one off, have a raffle at the end of class. Oh, I also heard, Allison, you have another one? No, your name just, because you went off screen. I've also heard of people giving out, like having a deck of cards and giving out a card to people who come on time. And so you can also like see who has the best hand over the course of the session or the day. So, who has like two of a kind or a full house or a straight or a flush or whatever, which I think is sort of a fun, also a fun idea. I was also thinking as I was just kind of brainstorming for myself, the idea of giving somebody, like having a cliffhanger saying, if you're back on time, you're going to see me. I do handstands and yoga and stuff like that. You'll see me do a handstand, or you'll get my secret granola recipe, or you'll, whatever that enticement is. So I think that's kind of, I've seen people do that effectively also.
Yeah.
I also,
Sue, can I add something?
Yeah.
Remember about a month ago when we were on the call and I was talking about the engagement dollars, and I shared it with you. I had made my own notes, worth of dollars of my company, 20, 10s and 5s, and people would participate, and I'd reward them in that way. So if they were late coming back from a break or such, then they would get penalized. So since everybody was working towards a final prize, like a first, second, and third prize, nobody wanted to lose any cash, right? So
Yeah, it's
that
like their
guaranteed
monopoly
that they
money.
would come back on time, right?
Great.
So that was pretty. That works quite well.
That's great.
I also use peer pressure. I invite them to look at the people at their table and say, I've enjoyed working with you so much. I beg you to come back at 1 o'clock promptly to work with me again. So they sort of make a commitment to their own table team.
Excellent. 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 Another kind of game thing that we've seen is we recently found this tool. Hold on. I think I have to pin myself to show it. Sorry. Called Office Decathlon, and it has in it, like it has icebreakers and team building and different kinds of challenges. And so like, there's the rubber band shootout or, office TV trivia, clips, 1 cup, and it just sort of has some fun activities that might kind of lure people back. And it doesn't have to be a long time, but it could be one of those things where people say, oh, I may not have, I may be delayed for some other reason, but that could also give people an extra enticement. And as I'm saying all of these things, I still love where we opened up with Wendy and Brian just saying we start on time and make that a thing. But as we've said before, if that's a little bit easier said than done, and depending on your group and their expectations, I think all of these ideas are tremendous. Other ideas that you guys have found that you want to share, or questions that you might have for one another, as we're kind of a nice sized group.
Yes, I can jump in. Um, So I've been with you, like, oh my goodness, probably like 15 years now. So I've been buying things throughout these whole entire years, and things definitely have changed. I used to use the chime, one of the chimers you guys had about 15 years ago, and it worked great. But um, now a lot of things are going towards that virtual direction. So now I use a virtual application where, and I just give you an example here. I put everything up on the screen when I'm in person, and right, everyone can see that because you have your presentation up there. And it could be a race, it could be a horse race or any type of things going on. And you'll put the timer on for 5 minutes, and you have each one of their names. So when they come back, obviously they get to see when it's time to start the class back up again. But the person who actually wins virtually, they also get a prize. So that's what also a way for me to kind of entice them to get back on time in today's world. But one thing I'm gonna take from this, I'm gonna go with what Nora said, this agreement of engagement. I'm gonna change to that. So instead of saying rude, because that makes sense to me, and that kind of resounded when you said that, Nora. So thanks for that tip. I'm definitely going to be using that one.
It also, it kind of respects the group and has them participate in kind of owning the
Yes.
agreement themselves instead of it feeling like it's imposed on them, which Wendy gave that a thumbs up also.
Mhm.
Because words matter. And I think the agreement makes them feel they're more inclusive, more part of that process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other ideas or strategies that you've had that you can share with one another?
I play music during the break, and when the music stops, they know that I'm going to start. So that's another way to play, and it's entertaining. Sometimes I have it up, if it's on screen, I can show it as a show. Any YouTube music, Playing for Change is my favorite one to use because it's music from all over the world, musicians all over the world. I don't know if you know Playing for Change, but if you want great break music besides the ones that you have that you've sold us, but the ones that are free online for YouTube, Playing for Change, and it's musicians all over the world playing the same song that's been edited together to make the song go all the way through. It's pretty cool. And they know that when that music stops, they're to be in their seats and we're ready to begin again. And that works for a lot of people. It's that auditory cue to them to stop talking to each other and
Yep.
to come on back together.
And once they're familiar with it, like you kind of know the end of a song too, right? Or when it starts to quiet, it's like, right.
Well, I'm not above cutting it off at showtime. I'll just stop the music. When the music stops, they know they're supposed to stop talking and come on back. You kind of have to train people to that by inviting them to respect that musical cue. And
Right.
then by and large they do.
It's like musical chairs too, right?
Oh, how
You could like remove one of the chairs.
Oh no, never. That's cruel. No.
That's funny. I love it. Love it. Love it. Other ideas. You guys are amazing.
Yes, if I may. So similar to the song, especially when I have small. I don't do large groups. I do small groups, maximum of 30 or 40. So when I do have my breaks, I said, right, let's agree on a time, and it's usually 15 minutes for a morning break. So I have the song, plus I have you can download these timers from YouTube, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 or whatever, and then I just plug that onto the screen. So they got both a visual time counting down, and then plus the music playing, right? So for me, it's more of the visual of the time, but the background music just to add some ambience.
Nice. Do you let them ever like pick the music or pick the playlist or?
No, because I've just downloaded stuff that I just plug in myself, and
Yeah,
there's not enough time, and there's so much to try and do it on that in whatever training I do.
of course.
So
Yeah.
it's probably something random they've never heard as well, or something quite old, and they go, "Oh, that's pretty. I haven't heard that for ages." Just
I try to pick songs that reflect diversity of different styles and different cultures as well. And that's one way to sort of embed that theme into it. And sometimes I pick songs that are relevant to the topic that we're talking about.
Awesome. Do you all ever think of activities to kind of occupy people who might arrive early. Either discussion starter questions or like, I know we've talked about thumb balls a lot as we've, over the course of our different show and shares, but like, this is one that's kind of fun. Are you lake or ocean? Are you imported or domestic? Just kind of conversation starters that might be a little bit more rich and kind of give folks who do arrive early something to kind of to chew on while they're waiting.
I don't usually worry too much when it's in person because they'll usually just talk amongst themselves. However, when I have a Zoom meeting, I think it's important to engage them right when they come in so that they know it's going to be interactive. So I'll try to have some conversation questions to be asking them, usually that has to do with what we're going to be talking about later, but not always. But I don't just stay quiet if I log in 15 minutes ahead. I know that I'm going to engage the people coming in.
Yeah.
So
We do online a would you rather. And so it's up there on the screen and they can answer those. So, we usually kind of do it based on seasons or time of year. Like you said, it's basically like what with the thumb ball, if you're not there in person to toss it. But, in summer we would say, would you rather go to the beach or go to the lake? Would you rather, or at Thanksgiving, would you rather turkey or would you rather ham? Or would you rather, and so that's a way
Good
for
idea.
people to kind of get
Alice,
them.
Are they posting their responses in chat? Or are they speaking out?
In chat.
Okay.
Or they can also go to the flip grid and just take their sticky note and post it.
So my colleague Sarah's also reminding me that in addition to like the physical thumb ball that we do have a program that's on a site called exchange.trainerswarehouse.com. We showed it at one of our early show and shares, but basically we've taken all of the content of all of the thumb balls and we've made it so that you can choose up to 6 different balls, content sets, and have people choose which of those they want to answer a question from and have a conversation about that. So in addition to the thumb ball content, there's also famous quotes. It can say like, what did this mean to you? There's also like those rebus puzzles and other kinds of just puzzlers and fun games. So that's another resource that you could use, in this, along the same vein of, engaging people in conversation and kind of making that fun while you're regrouping.
Would you put in, there it is right there. That's what I'm looking for right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about that exchange, but I am an advocate of the thumb balls. I believe I have them all. And I use that in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, and especially the activity ball. I use that one after lunch. And I kind of turned it. I hope it's okay to actually say this. So I didn't know about the exchange. So I've taken pictures of the thumb balls and I've created a virtual thumb ball where it goes in a PowerPoint and it spins, and wherever it lands on, my little virtual thumb it lands on, then the student have to speak to it. But thumb balls work very, very good with engagement with the students.
Oh, I'd love to see whatever animation you use. We did create like PowerPoints and we have the exchange, but we don't have an animation like that. You'll have to share that with me.
Will do.
Love that. Well, you guys, it is 12:30. This has been awesome. So many ideas. Before we close, let me ask if is there anything we missed, either questions or suggestions that you'd love to share? All right. Well, thank you all. Have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll be sharing the notes and we'll make our conversation available online as well. So thank you all. Thanks for your participation. This was great.
Thank you for your time. Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao, Brian. See ya. Bye. Bye, Sue.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Sharon.